The number 1740 is encoded on the title page of The Alchemist, read right to left as if Hebrew written by Ben Jonson is 17 letters followed by 2 V's. With Latin Gematria, V is equal to 20. There's 17 letters, then 2 V's equaling 1740, Edward de Vere's Earl encode number. I've gone over some of this in a previous video. In Act 4, Scene 5, the page splits, and there's a section of 16 lines. The first line, "And so we may arrive by Talmud skill," I think is a hint that something Kabbalistic's going on, like Gematria, or to read right to left, like Hebrew. First count 16 lines and then start reading the other direction. At what's now the 17th line, there's 2 V's spelling 1740, double V-E-A-R-E, or double V Vere. After that, there's 16 characters. Subtle can mean to be faint or almost undetectable, and I think this use of subtle's name, printed at this very point, is meant not to be counted or subtracted. The 17th character, then, is this double V in the middle. Counting from the end of the line, there's 16 characters, again making the 17th the 2 V's. So there's this printing a double V Vere, and 3 times a reference to 1740, Edward de Vere's Earl encode number. The words "we are but feces, ashes," I think may be an allusion to a story about the 16th century Swiss alchemist Paracelsus, where he promised the faculty of a university that he would show them the elixir of life. They were offended when he unveiled a jar of human waste. The name face, above and below the word Vere, means de Vere had 2 faces, or a double, his own and Shakespeare. The reason why I brought up The Alchemist is because in my last few videos I've shown a possible moniker for a Freemasonic group called Twice 11 Brethren that Edward de Vere may have been a member of or even founded. In this video I want to speculate on what this group might have known, what they may have been about. It's not going to be a history lesson on secret societies, I just want to focus on a certain idea. The first time I saw the letters M-O-A-I in Shakespeare's Twelfth Night, I thought it was a mantra, a word or phrase that's repeated during meditation. Researching the Shakespeare authorship question was new to me, and I hadn't yet looked into the meaning of the word. I only recently saw a video by Alan Green where he suggests the same thing, that it's a mantra. That's a coincidence. The Sanskrit mantra Om is believed to be the primordial vibration, the sacred sound at the root of creation. Some believe the Hebrew Amen comes from Om, though I don't know if that's ever been proved. Its concept and meaning goes far beyond the scope of this video. I just want to point out that there's variations on the way it's pronounced, like how many vowels and syllables are used when chanting. In the Freemasonic story of Hiram Abiff, the widow's son who helped build Solomon's temple, 3 ruffians kill him when he refuses to give them the master's word or secret name of God. The 3 names are Jubala, Jubalo, and Jubalum. Aum, A-O-U-M, was known to the secret society, who encoded it in the last letters of each name. Swami Shivananda wrote, "The life of all words is vowels." Look through the Nag Hammadi text. There's examples like in the Discourse on the 8th and 9th where vowels are being repeated. Unfortunately, in translations like the Gnostic Bible, the editors footnote the vowels as Gallisalia, like it's speaking in tongues. It's not. Anyway, there is another variant of Om, Eom, spelled I-A-O-M, where more vowels are added. I believe the Twice 11 were Christian mystics and Kabbalists, and M-O-A-I may be the Hebrew or right-to-left spelling of Eom. Chanting is part of many meditative practices. A word or phrase is repeated, sometimes spoken softly, sometimes internally, while breathing is controlled. Combined with diet and visualization, states of consciousness are reached that can, well, turn base metals of a person's being into gold. It's about spiritual evolution. The external processes of lab work like sublimation, putrefaction, and projection are intuited by the alchemist and reflected in the internal laboratory of the human body. Food is imbibed, digested, and broken down. Meditation and breathing exercises are practiced, producing prana, or divine sustenance. When Paracelsus revealed that jar to the shocked university members, he was showing what was left after the essences of his diet had been extracted. All of this is an oversimplification of the spiritual process of alchemy and what I believe may have been secret knowledge brought back from the time of the Crusades. Could it have been, for example, known to members of the Templars and passed on to certain initiates? The reason why I'm associating this process with the Templars is because they were rumored to have in their possession the Ark of the Covenant. In Hebrews 9:4, the New Testament, the Ark contained the tablets with the 10 Commandments, a pot of manna, and Aaron's rod that budded. Symbolically, some believe the tablets represent God's laws written on the heart of the initiate. Manna was the sustenance provided by God that the Israelites survived on during their 40 years in the wilderness. Manna symbolizes prana, divine sustenance drawn from food and breathing like in alchemy. Aaron's rod that budded symbolizes the human spine with the chakras of the subtle nervous system open. Similar to the spiritual alchemist's laboratory being in the human body, the Ark of the Covenant is the same. I'm not a teacher or guru, nor do I have one. I'm not going to go into great detail about the subtle nervous system, but I can tell you that cultures all over the world have known of it, and it's unfortunate that it's been misrepresented and used to dupe people, promising golden enlightenment to those who can afford it. Other than the possible right-to-left spelling of the mantra IAOM, there's other things being said in Twelfth Night, words and phrases that made me think the play's author knew of this process. First, though, there's some numbers encoded within the title. Twelfth Night is 11 letters, followed by or, which is 2, then what you will, which is 11, twice 11. Next, MOAI is on page 264, which is, I'll call it an anagram of Edward de Vere's date of death, 624. I saw that in the green video. The first folio is in 3 sections, none going over 400 pages, so they couldn't actually print 624. And if you count here, there's 17 words, then the word fortune, 1740. After Malvolio first says the letters MOAI, Fabian refers to it as a Fustian riddle. One definition of Fustian, even during Shakespeare's day, is inflated language. That's what external chanting is, breathing in words, inflated language. It's like it's saying that MOAI is meant to be breathed and spoken, like a mantra. There's also internal chanting, repeating a mantra without speaking. Lips do not move, no man must know, no man must know, no man must know. So there's no speaking with lips do not move, and then no man must know repeated over and over, like a mantra. Here, MAOI doth sway my life. Sway can mean to move rhythmically back and forth. When Jewish people pray and rock back and forth, it's called shuckling. One explanation is from Proverbs 20:27. The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, so they move their body to mirror the swaying of a flame. The other is from Psalm 35:10. All my bones shall say, Lord, who is unlike unto thee. In addition to moving back and forth, sway also means to rule. To the Western mystic, MAOI can be a crushing together of I am, God's name, and Om. So does MOAI, doth sway my life, mean to pray with it like a mantra, as well as letting the Om, the sound of God, be one's guide? Again, to quote Swami Shivananda. MOAI, doth sway my life, repeats, followed by let me see, repeating 3 times like before. Could this be a petitioning to see behind the veil? And then softly MOAI, again, chanting quietly. There are more words here and there, but I have to delve more into alchemy and the Kundalini process, which is the raising of the spiritual energy through the chakras along the spine involving the subtle nervous system. This is what spiritual alchemy is. If someone sees this video and wants to argue, no it's not, it's this, this is what I've discovered through my research, and that's all I want to say about it. Whatever you figured out for yourself is your own business. The reason why I even brought any of this up is because I'm speculating about the possibility of what this secret society may have been practicing. See, when you look at the Kabbalistic tree of life, there's 3 columns, severity, mercy, and mildness, sometimes called equilibrium. In Freemasonry, the twin pillars, Boaz and Yakin, are the columns severity and mercy, respectively. With the subtle nervous system, the 3 columns represent Ida and Pingala, or the negative and positive channels, and Shushamna, the central channel within the spine. In the Herefordshire village of Garway in the UK is what's known as the Garway Templar Church. This is a 13th century piscina used for draining water during Mass. To my knowledge, no one's interpreted it this way, but I see a carving of the subtle nervous system. The head and torso are cut out, the right and left channels, positive and negative, represented by a fish, a Christian symbol of the positive, and a snake symbolizing the negative. Some think these are wings. I agree, like on the staff of Caduceus, which is also a symbol of the spine, with the serpents representing Kundalini Shakti, the serpent energy. At the top is said to be a chalice and a wafer, but you can see there's a pyramid and what's known as a solar cross. The chalice is the coccyx, the base of the spine where Kundalini Shakti resides until she is ready to ascend, to through the chakras, climbing the steps of the pyramid, and the channels symbolically forming a cross in the brain. This represents the crucifixion at Golgotha, the place of the skull, Jesus crucified between two thieves, one positive and repentant, the other negative and chastising. Another understanding is that one's own will, the ego, is crucified, surrendered to and replaced by the will of God, truly making them born again. This is what spiritual evolution is about and what the mystics were going for. If you don't think the Templars knew of the serpent power at the base of the spine, in the same church near the Piscina is a symbol of the cross and serpent, again representing Kundalini Shakti and the spine. Now I want to be clear, I'm not attacking the historicity of the ark or the crucifixion. I'm saying that secret societies use these symbols to represent these processes of the subtle nervous system. This applies to alchemy as well. My point is, this is knowledge secret societies have been passing down for centuries, millennia. This line, with bloodless stroke my heart doth gore, MAO doth sway my life. The raising of Shakti, the breaking through to the heart chakra, most never get there. The line, with bloodless stroke my heart doth gore, when I read that, it made me think of the opening of the heart chakra, specifically a technique I read about called Gnosis of the Heart. And these lines, why she may command me, I serve her, she is my lady, made me think of Shakti, the goddess of this divine energy. Now why Malvolio is chosen to reveal MOAI, I'm not sure. Maybe it's because he's a puritanical character who actually says the word backwards, reflecting de Vere Shakespeare's view on the Puritans, that their understanding of the divine is backwards. I'm going to end this part here, make of it what you will. I want to focus again on what this group's name might have been. In my last few videos I brought up the twice 11 brethren from an acrostic I found in a 1611 facsimile of the King James Bible. Since then, Sean O'Donovan discovered the word brethren is printed 22 times in the first folio. Hardly a coincidence. Though Alexander Waugh believes the name twice 11 is on the right track, he thinks it would include the word temple. More on that in a minute. He sent me a picture of this ancient Israelite mosaic of these two hands and what's known as a Kohanim blessing gesture. The fingers are split into two sets of 2 fingers each and can be seen as 22 or twice 11. The thing is, the palms are supposed to face downward, and it's obvious these palms are being held upward, and they're coming from 2 different people. Waugh suggested this may be an image of the brethren taking an oath by the seal of Solomon. I searched the first folio and found out that temple is printed 42 times. With the repeated count, 42 is equal to 2-letter T's, which stand for Edward de Vere. I found a palindrome in the Bible that tells us de Vere is 4T and 2T. Read the other way, 4T2. Again, 42 using the repeated count is 2 T's. So there's a relationship between de Vere and the word temple. Like the 1740 Shakespeare codes covered in videos 11 through 14, I found several 1740 temple codes in the King James Bible, many on these 2 pages. But here I'm just going to show this one in 2 Chronicles. Notice second is written as Roman numeral 2, which is also an 11. It's in chapter 3. 3 is written as 3 lines. This reminds me of the 3 columns of the Tree of Life. Along the top of the page it says, the building of the temple. The verse reference number is equal 29. With Gematria, 29 equals EDV, but also 29 equals 17 plus 12. M is the 12th letter and in Hebrew translates to the letter Mem, which has the value of 40. So 29 is 17 plus Mem, or 1740, similar to 57 being 17 plus 40. The number for verse 17 sits right above the letters for the and then temple. Remember, in Greek, H is eta and is pronounced as E, so for the is read as 4T. So it's 17-4T temple. And then the verse describes the raising of the pillars Yakin and Boaz. It's like it's telling us that Temple 1740 has been constructed. Again, the left and right columns of the Tree of Life are symbolized by the pillars Yakin and Boaz. Remember, in the folio, temples printed 42 times, and 42 is equal to 2 T's, which represent Edward de Vere in the Sonnets. Was the name of the group Temple 1740, honoring not only the Templars and Solomon's Temple, but Edward de Vere as founder. In my videos on the King James Bible, there's several codes showing de Vere to be a prince and a king. Ron Raphael suggested that perhaps these were titles like a rank in the organization. Maybe the group was only around briefly, de Vere dying before it had time to flourish. then it either became or was absorbed by the Rosicrucians. I still believe it's possible that Oxford didn't die on June 24, 1604. The numbers of that date just seem too relevant. 624 is not only the date of his play A Midsummer Night's Dream, but also equal to the number of letters in his name. And the year 1604 adds up to 11. Twice 11? Also 11, or 1 and 1, can represent the pillars of Solomon's temple, Yakin and Boaz. And if the numbers 624 are added up, they equal 12. Crush them once more. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 3 times 11 equals 33, the age Jesus was believed to have been crucified, but also the highest degree in Freemasonry. So this date can be telling us not when de Vere died, but that he was an initiate of the highest order. And the Temple 1740 is a way for its initiates to always remember who is responsible for its creation. Again, this was all speculation on my part because we have no physical proof, no documentation of what they might have known or been practicing. The thing is, why would we? What makes a secret society successful is secrecy, and traditionally, secret knowledge is passed from mouth to ear, spoken and not written down. We know the Rosicrucians existed, at least by the early 1700s, because they released documents. As far as I know, other than what was recorded during their trials, the Templars wrote nothing down about their sacred rites. But the symbols in Galway Templar Church suggest to me that they knew of the subtle nervous system. Spiritual alchemy and certain Kabbalistic practices were also based on this, and Rosicrucianism shares a lot of that symbology. So did this secret society, the Twice 11 Brethren, or Temple 1740, or whatever their name may have been, inherit knowledge from the Templars and pass it on to the Rosicrucians? Knowledge like the Ark of the Covenant representing the initiate, the items within symbolizing elements of the subtle nervous system. And what effect could this technique of spiritual evolution have had on the minds of initiates during the time of the Renaissance? And how often was it misunderstood and misused? If you decide to research alchemy or Kundalini Shakti, do so with wisdom. It's no joke. You might end up with your mind blown, completely freaked out like an H.P. Lovecraft character at the realization that this stuff is actually real. A spine that never stops vibrating, unable to sleep, the list goes on, so just be careful. Thank you for watching.